Thank you, Jennifer, for that moving reminder that even in our stillest moments, there's always motion and a way forward. Now, as we shift from a rhythm within ourselves to the connections we make with others, let's welcome our next speaker. She's a marketing professor whose research focuses on relationships between people and even between people and brands. Her work has been published in leading academic journals and explores how connection, decision-making, and shared experiences shape our well-being. Today, she will challenge the way we think about relationships, showing us how they influence not only our happiness, but even our health. Please welcome Danielle Brick.
When I first graduated college, I was working at Mass General, which is a hospital in Boston, and I had a coworker who was a few years older than me at the time. She had a husband and kids, and one morning she comes rushing into my office. I think it was a Tuesday at 9 a.m. She says, Danielle, I have to go right now. Chris is sick. Chris is her husband. And I thought, oh my goodness, of course, go ahead. Is he okay? She stops. And she looks at me and she says, what? He's fine. The cleaning people are at my house and he doesn't know about them. So I have to get home and send him out before he gets there. I thought, weird, but okay. Now, fast forward a few years, and I am in my first role as a faculty member, and my husband and I are having a conversation about hiring a cleaning person. I wanted one, he didn't. And I thought, I interview them, they come during the day, I could pay them. Does he have to know? Which then, of course, I started to think, is there something about me and my coworker? Is there something about cleaning people? Because if I said to you, do you keep secrets from your partner? Most of you would say no. Secrets are bad, definitely not. And yes, large, big taboo secrets are bad. But what about secrets about these more everyday types of things? Are those bad? It turns out 90% of people can recall a time in which they kept consumption a secret from their partner. And the majority of these things are regular, everyday types of things. Buying an online package, having pizza when you're both supposed to be on a diet, playing an extra round of basketball at lunch, buying a golf club. And these types of secrets, when it's about regular, ordinary, everyday things, aren't so bad for the relationship. Because the little bit of guilt that you feel for keeping that a secret from your partner makes you want to invest back into the relationship. So whether that's by spending more on Valentine's Day, choosing the raffle that has the couple's prize over the individual one, choosing to watch the movie your partner wants over the one you want, these secrets can be good for relationships. And so I thought, given that relationships are important, I would share with you some of the things I've learned about them today. Now, if I asked you, what do you need to survive? What would you say? Probably food, water, clothes, shelter. How many of you would say relationships? Yes, a large meta-analytic review found a 50% increased chance of survival for people with stronger social relationships. And that effect was consistent across age, sex, and initial health status. And the size of the influence of relationships influencing survival is as big as things like alcohol consumption, obesity, cigarette smoking. Other research has found married people live longer on average. Divorced men, they're the worst. And then on the other side, a lack of social connection or social isolation can be devastating. It's associated with increased it's associated with increased drug and alcohol use, increased blood pressure, cardiovascular events, and even premature death. and it's quite common. In 2023, the Surgeon General declared loneliness an epidemic. So relationships are important, and given today's theme, I thought I'd share with you some of the things I've learned about them over the years. In addition to some secrets being good for the relationship, another thing I learned that surprised me is who people have relationships with. Of course, they have them with romantic partners, friends, family members, but they also have them with brands. Brands. And that might seem strange initially, but if you think about it, maybe there's a brand that you can turn to, that you rely on, that you count on. When I was in grad school, I ran a lot, helped me to deal with the stress and the hard times. And I had a brand of sneakers that I turned to, that I counted on, that was there to get me through all those dark days. And, well, I've since moved on to another brand. I look back at that brand and our time together fondly. So people have relationships with brands, and it turns out there are times when people prefer these relationships over ones with other people. Let me explain that a bit more. In the literature, there's an apparent contradiction that as people become wealthier, they have fewer social connections. They espouse autonomy and independence to a much greater degree. And so I began to wonder, well, how could this be? How could people who have more resources be happier if they have fewer social connections, given how important they are? So I found that they turn to their brand relationships. Yeah, as people are made to feel wealthier or have more resources, and whether that's income or recalling a time in which they had more resources, or even just by being given $2, people prefer to engage with, interact with, do an activity with brands over other people. They feel more connected to their brands, and they're more satisfied with their brand relationships. So sometimes people prefer brands over other people. And another thing I've learned is that people defend their brand relationships like they do ones with other people. Research has found that people in strong, committed, romantic relationships will protect those relationships by avoiding looking at an attractive alternative partner. They'll disengage, they'll look away. Turns out people in committed brand relationships do the same thing. So when asked to think about a brand and their relationship with it, people who are committed to this relationship will avoid looking at an ad for a new brand. The white space, they'll look away, and they recall less about the new brand than if they were not in a committed relationship. Okay, so people have relationships with brands. They often prefer these or sometimes prefer these relationships over ones with other people, and they protect these relationships like they do ones with other people. So when they can't have these relationships, people are less happy with their lives. Let me give you an example. Let's say you and your partner want to buy a new car. You both want an Audi. That's great, high brand compatibility. So you go to the Audi store, you get in your Audi, and you drive off the lot into the sunset. But what happens if your partner wants an Audi, but you want a Lexus? And you find yourself driving off the lot in your Audi, not into the sunset, but into a Starbucks when you're really a Dunkin' person. And then you go home, and you, a Pepsi, Crest, Charmin person, opens all your cabinets to find Coke, Colgate, and Scott. How are you feeling? Less happy. So people with low brand compatibility are less satisfied with their lives. And I find this across studies, and it's related to conflict. But that is the people who are less likely to get their way are less satisfied with their entire lives. And what I think is really interesting about this, in addition to the fact that brand preferences can influence is when we think about compatibility for starting a relationship, most of the time it's about religion, politics, number of children, but brand preferences, not so much. I mean, are you a Dunkin' loving guy or gal going to break up with your Starbucks loving partner? Probably not. But if you constantly find yourselves on opposite ends of the brand aisle and you're losing out, should you maybe rethink your relationship? Perhaps. Now there is good news, because there are times when conflicting brand preferences can be used to your advantage. Let me give you another example. Let's say you wake up ready to start your busy day. So find dirty dishes in the sink that your partner has left there. Your dirty clothes on the floor, again. And you get in your car to find it on empty after your partner has borrowed it. It's the third time this month that has happened. How would you be feeling? Probably a lot of things. Maybe frustrated, maybe angry. And in relationships, individuals feel a variety of emotions and also competing motivations. That's the desire to express your frustration with your partner with the conflicting desire to not want to harm the relationship. And so one way individuals can deal with these competing motivations is through brand choice. So continuing with my example, let's say you're getting in your car and you think to yourself, after of course refilling your gas tank, I'd like a coffee. And you know your partner loves Dunkin'. So you think to yourself, you know what? Today feels like a Starbucks day. And that's what I call an oppositional brand choice. And that's choosing a brand that is opposite to or oppositional to the one you think your partner prefers. Is it petty? Maybe. But can it help you deal with competing motivations, such as being frustrated and not wanting to harm the relationship? Yes. So brand choice can help your relationship. And it's not just brand choice, but choice more broadly. Make decisions together. Of course, you're going to make big decisions like buying a house, buying a car, where to live, but even small decisions like where to eat, which restaurant to go to, which brand of laundry detergent, which brand of toilet paper, choosing those things together can make you feel more satisfied with your relationship and more powerful. Yes, choosing which brand of laundry detergent or toilet paper together can make you feel more powerful in your relationship. Why is that? Power is often defined as control over valued resources. And so in theory, one person making all of the decisions should have the most power in the relationship. But the key thing is that they have to be valued resources. So if somebody's making all the decisions, like which brand of toilet paper to buy or which laundry detergent, it could be because they're stuck making them. So by combining control and value, you both feel greater power in the relationship. So making decisions together, even as small as which brand of laundry detergent to buy, can make you more satisfied and feel more powerful in your relationships. And then finally, I'd like to end on another positive note. As you move onward and upward, celebrate. Celebrate those victories. And make sure you're doing it with food and other people. Decades of research has found that perceived social support, which is the belief that other people will be there for you in future negative life events is associated with many positive health outcomes. But how do you build that belief that people will be there for you in the bad times? Turns out by celebrating the good. That is by marking a positive life event with consumption, and most importantly, other people, you build the belief that people will be there for you in the future for the bad times. So to some extent, bring on those fair weather friends. Celebrate life's tiny milestones and big wins. And as you move onward and upward, make sure you're cultivating the relationships around you.